Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Nick Delinski Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Metamore head coach Nick Delinski. Coach, boy, it was nice to have a playoff game at home Saturday. Beautiful day for football. Temperature was nice. The wind wasn't really much of a factor. A little bit overcast, but man, what a beautiful day.
Wow, you get a win, makes it even more beautiful. But yeah, I mean it's playoff football time in November, and you can get it to be not windy and not rainy and not cold, then we'll take that Saturday afternoon for sure. But,
especially at Malone, it's always windy there.
It's a nice little wind tunnel there, especially if it comes out of the north. So, a lot of good things happen, but, it starts with a good day, and, playing the afternoon is always nice. And as we talked about, Saturday afternoons at Malone means you're in the playoffs, and that's a good day.
Yeah, for sure it is a nice day. Chicago South Shore came down. Also a 7-2 team. You kind of knew that things were probably going to be tilted a little bit in your favor. When both teams came out of the locker room, they came out with, 32 players? 34?
Somewhere in that hand, yep.
And you brought out 99.
Yeah, I mean, we brought out a lot of kids.
Boy.
We dressed every jersey that we got. So
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, rewards those kids for what they've done. And we talked about it a little bit on Saturday that they start practicing, right? And they start to get a feel for what it means to be successful at the varsity level. And we had another real good week of practice so far this week. So it's 2 weeks now for those guys. But they learn the physicality. They learn, the tempo that we're going to play with, the expectations, the standards, all the things that are going to be important for them when they become the upperclassmen. So that's great. But it is pretty cool to see the national anthem when you see goal line to goal line and, Metamore jerseys. And so that's pretty exciting. And it's good for those kids. And saw a lot of really big eyes on them freshmen, getting to do the run out and getting all to do all those little parts. Those things are important. They get their birds, they get their stripe on the helmet, and they get to wear a varsity jersey. Not all of them are going to wear the number that they're wearing right now as an older player, but they got to take what they can get here. And we did do some swaps. One of the numbers was a 2XL on a running back, so we thought we might want to switch that out for one of the linemen. But no, it was good, and it is. I don't know if it's an intimidating factor at all or not, but we do it more because we want those kids to be rewarded and understand where we're going.
For sure, and it's such a good thing because, some of those freshmen and sophomores, they get at least 2 weeks more practice.
Yeah, and, some of them got to play Friday or Saturday afternoon and, get their first little bit of taste on the field. And we talk about it after the game. I mean, obviously we were the better team. And they've showed pretty quickly, but you never take a playoff win for granted. I mean, like when you're in, right? And you got to go get a win, and they can't take it away. We can't be apologetic for what we did and who you play, but because some years you draw a Joliet Catholic in the first round, like a Chatham or like we did, and so getting through the first round is always important, and now you focus on continuing that march, just because as much as anything, you just enjoy being around these guys.
For sure, and you're right. Those kids have all earned that spot to come up and dress on the varsity. And I think you said the other day you had something like 77 kids doing something at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we had during our offensive period, we have 3 offensive huddles going. We got 2 defensive groups, and we had a bunch of kickers kicking. So, and that doesn't include you guys that are rotating in and out of, huddles depending on what our formation is offensively. So, yeah, we don't want those 99 just standing around. So if we can get them involved in being active and understanding how they can help us, that's really important. And but it was like today, I'm sitting there watching Coach Otto and Coach Ally go through some deep O-line stuff, and we got them, spread all the way across the end zone, and they're doing two-on-twos or some double team stuff, and it's like 35 of those kids, and you're like 40 of those kids. You're like, those are the things that are pretty exciting for you. And, you sit back and as a coach, and we've talked about our assistant coaches before, but just how much I appreciate the effort and the work that they do to get our kids ready every Friday, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon. And they do a great job. And those are the things that, when you can step back as a head coach and say, I trust all you guys to go do your jobs. That's what they're there for. And, but no, those things are really fun. And we've enjoyed that part of practice as coaches and seen those kids develop as well. And, some of these guys were freshmen, and they got to dress, when we made the playoffs. And so, we've kind of seen those guys grow up too.
The other thing too that I've always been impressed with, and Metamore's done a very good job of this over the years, and is you dress all those kids, but in a game that you're bringing in a lot of subs, every kid goes in, you never have to take a timeout because you've got 12 or 13 guys in the huddle. You never have to take a timeout because you don't have enough in the huddle. You never have to take a timeout because sometimes you have to take a timeout because things just aren't right and you need to get them fixed. But it's never because they're not organized.
Well, I take a lot of pride in not being, staying organized and not having to take those timeouts. We took 2 against Dunlap that I wasn't very happy with because we didn't have substitution patterns correct. But we got coaches that care about that as well. So when we're calling out formations, we're making changes. We're making sure we're getting guys in and out, and we try to get as many guys on the field as we can there at the end. And credit to the kids too of paying attention to know what the formation is when they're in, when they're not in, and not having to do the old chase and scramble and trying to find guys. So those things that I think it's because our kids care enough to when they get their opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it.
For sure. A little bit about the game. I thought it was very impressive. They kicked off. I believe it was Jason Pickles.
No, the first one was Kylan.
Kylan, yes. He returned it to their 40-yard line, and that really set the tone, I thought, for the game.
Well, yeah, and we kind of looked out there and we knew that we were better on the kickoff return team than their probably kickoff team was. So it just came down to how far could we catch the ball and get going. And then it set us up, when you're in positive territory, there's a whole lot more we can do offensively. But, we ran 2 plays and then we hit a slant to Kylan and he's able to take it to the house. And then, like any of that question, like it gets all those playoff jitters out. Kylan's first playoff game at Metamora with, this scenario, and he gets the opening kickoff, returns it 45 yards, catches the pass, goes in for 35, and, it kind of probably settles him down, but also does it settle him down? Settles everybody down. When you get up early and you take a lead, it's a lot easier to play the game. Whatever you're doing, people are able to relax a little bit more and get into what they're doing. But, it was a great way to start the game for sure. And then, defensively, we came out and did what we were supposed to. Hard part was number 3, their running back, who's really good. Like, he's a really good running back. We kept looking in pregame, like, where's 3? He wasn't out there. Where's 3? He's not out there. Where's 3? Well, 22's the running back. And we didn't know until the end of the game. We were shaking hands, and Coach Herring comes up and he goes, do you normally wear number 3 in your other jersey? He goes, yeah. Week 8, it got destroyed. It got torn up. So, like, we didn't have another number 3, so I'm wearing 22 today. It's like, well, that makes a little bit more sense because he's a good player and he runs the ball well, and so those are the sort of things you're trying to figure out because when you go into a game plan week, you kind of identify, hey, we need to find if 3's here, we want to do this, or if 9's here, we want to do that. And 3 was one of the guys we want to make sure we knew where he was, and they did a good job of hiding him by having him in 22. So we figured that part out, but yeah, we get that stop, and then we put a few more scores up, and middle of first quarter, you knew this one was going in the direction that it was going.
You were able, you score your first touchdown on a pass. It kind of opened up for the running game after that. I thought that your line did a great job too of getting into their defense, making some nice holes. The lanes were there all day long.
Yeah, and they had a couple big kids in there that we just didn't know exactly how big they were. Because when you're watching film of other teams, you don't know how big they are, and then you get that comparative. So, we get out there and we'd realize, good player, good athlete. We think we can take advantage of them, and we did. And, an offensive line, they've done what they've done for the most part all year, and we executed pretty high level. And that's the key in those games is make sure that we're on assignments correctly, and then, we let Jadon kind of get loose there a little bit, and Steven with, touchdown run, and we got, Jadon ended up getting over 1,000 yards on the season, which is nice. Puts him in just over $3,000, for his career. So I think it's 3,300. I think is the number he's at now over his 4 years. Most of that sophomore, junior, and senior. So those are things that are important. He ends up at 19 touchdowns, through 10 games. So those are all important things. And I know that in the end, it doesn't really matter, but because we all know how good Jadon is. But that number is a big deal because not everybody gets to that 1,000 yards in a season. Right. We didn't get to it last year between him and Evan. They were both sitting right at 920 or give or take. But, once we kind of figured out where we were at offensively, what we could do, then we just kept going. And then defensively, basically pitching a shutout for 2.5 quarters until 22 breaks loose. And we fit wrong, and he can run. I mean, like, we knew he was fast, and we talked about it all week. We got to keep it contained and in front of us, and fit up wrong on one side, he gets a crease, and then he goes, and that's when you kind of realize, hey, these guys are dangerous if you give them openings.
Yeah, they were. And I thought defensively, you guys did a really nice job of not really letting them get any kind of momentum. You shut them down from the get-go, and I think one drive they had 2 first downs by penalty.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, we had the roughing the punter, and we jumped off sides,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are all things that we can correct and go back and through. But defensively, I thought the key was for them is and especially with the first group, and he did score with some second guys in there and third guys, but they cared just as much as the first guys for sure. Is about taking away space, because if that guy's really, really fast and you don't let him get to be getting fast, you got a really good chance to get to him. But if he runs by you can't catch him. So I thought we did a good job of our run fits, getting to where we needed to, and then I think we had 2 picks. I think it was 3 fumble recoveries and 2 interceptions.
Like that,
Bittner had an interception. Kylan had another interception. And then we had a couple fumble recoveries in there. Jackson Backus had one. I know Ryan Murray had one late. I can't remember. Maybe it might have been Puntoni that had the other one.
I think it was, yes.
So, we caused a few fumbles. We got some good punch-outs. When we talk about, a turnover versus a takeaway, we felt all of ours were takeaways when we got after it. So, when the ball was in the air, we did a good job of going to get it. And then once on the ground, we could punch it out. We got to go recover it next. So we took advantage of that.
I noticed there was a lot of times where they tried to go wide on you, and Sol Swanson and Backus and
Grady Neal.
Grady Neal's been outstanding all year.
Grady Neal just kind of quietly has had a great year. Like, we recognize it. It's hard to see sometimes because when you're that outside linebacker, sometimes it's not you making the tackle, it's you keeping the edge to allow inside-out guys to make the tackle. But in space, he's done a great job of what we call roll tackling and just getting guys down. And that whole wrestling, I mean, he's a wrestler. It's a lot of 3-point take. We keep calling them 2 points, but he keeps reminding us now in film that they're 3 now. A takedown's worth 3 points. So, but yeah, I mean, him and Saul Swanson, both those guys have done a real good job as the season's gone on. We ask those outside linebackers to fold under at times, and then sometimes they got to be outside contained. And they've done a really good job of doing both.
Right. And Grady's a little bit undersized, but because I think that wrestling background.
He's got hands. He's got strong hands. He understands leverage and angles, just like, all that from wrestling stuff. It definitely benefits. There's no doubt his ability to play football. Wrestling has definitely helped, and we're hoping that him playing football helps him in his wrestling career too, because he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty solid. And Sol Swanson's been kind of a little bit of a surprise for you, probably.
Yeah, it's just a sophomore that played a little bit more safety as a sophomore, and then as a junior we kind of moved him down. He's grown. His body keeps getting bigger. I think he's going to get even bigger for a year from now where he's going to be. But good weight room kid over time, and he just keeps getting stronger, and he just understood. And we talk about some guys like he's got a little orneriness to him. So he's got a little of that edge. And,
I was going to say a little bit of
a little bit of that edge, and that benefits you when you're a linebacker. Sometimes you're going against guys that are a little bigger, and you just got to find a way to win. And those two both have more times than not done that.
For sure. And I thought it was good to see too that Barbarinas was back. He had been injured a little bit.
Yeah, had a little bit of a hip issue. We kind of kept him out of practice until I think Thursday or so. Jessica said she felt pretty comfortable with him going out, and so Thursday afternoon he did some running. He goes, I feel pretty good, and then Friday he was in full go, and but no, it was good to get him back, and he just makes plays. I mean, he's a wrecking guy in there, and he leads us in sacks and tackles for loss. All those sort of things. That we expect a senior 2-year starter to do when he's in that spot. So.
Another guy too is Caleb Morrison, offensively and defensively. I noticed you gave him a run, gave him a
got him a little under center, got under a little under center belly there, and he just rumbled and bumbled and picked up 9 yards. So those are things that we've worked on kind of all year. We've moved around a little bit. We haven't been in our traditional tight end double wing. We've been under center and I, and ran some fullback belly early in the year. But when you get into the playoffs, you never know what the weather's going to be, and sometimes you got to get under center. So we had to make sure that we had that package back in, and it was a great spot for him. And thought maybe he could rumble, bumble, tumble all the way in, but he didn't quite get there.
No, I believe they face masked him.
Yeah, and then he kept. So yeah, I mean he just kept going. But no, Caleb's a good player, and he's had a great year for us as blocking back. and then as a linebacker too. But he's got his fair share of 2-point conversions on the old devil handoff, and there's a lot of things that he can do that probably I haven't utilized enough in. As an athlete, he's got great hands. So it's just there's only so many plays you can call in a game, and you try to get all the right ones at the right time.
The other one too I want to talk about is Jason Pickles. They score to make it, I think, like a 39-point lead.
Yeah.
And there's like less than a minute to
go.
Yeah,
we kind of needed that one, right? We'd kind of taken some guys out offensively because of, Steven got a little boogered up, and, and you're like, I'd like to get this to 40 points. And Coach Simmons goes, don't worry, we got it. If they kick it to Jason, he's going to take it to the house. And I will say that Andy's done a great job. That kickoff return the last 4 weeks has been pretty explosive. We got 3 touchdowns now in the last 4 weeks. Yeah. And Dunlap decided they just weren't going to mess around with it at all. We've become pretty dangerous back there, and that's even without Jadon back there a little bit. Kylan's got it, and Jason, both of those guys. And then you put Braden Bitt back there as just a sure-handed guy that can get what he can. But
and Braden Cox
Cox has one. So, it's been pretty exciting to have those guys back there. And, they can run. I mean, there's no doubt about their speed. And then Jason's just, we didn't really utilize him much in the offense last week because, we had one catch for, I think we were 1 for 1 for 35 and a touchdown. Yeah. The only other pass call, Steven scrambled until Christian came in. But Jason's an electric player. You have to find ways to get him some touches this week, that's for sure. But no, he's done a real good job for us, and he's only a junior. So those are, as you look forward in the future, more exciting things for him, for sure.
And then I thought Christian Nelson came in and played well at quarterback. Threw, I believe it was a 2-point conversion pass.
Yep,
but I couldn't see who that was.
It was to Eli Simmons.
Oh,
a little whip route there in the corner. Eli's done a good job for us. Christian's done a good job for us. Sometimes it's always good to reward those guys when you get that opportunity. And Chris threw a good ball, and we get those 2 points. Not that it mattered in the end what the final score was, but reward those guys for doing the right things as much as we can, and get them opportunities to enjoy that part of it as well. Eli's a great blocker. He's a special teams, been a demon on kickoff, making a lot of tackles. So, everybody likes to catch the ball every once in a while when you get the chance.
For sure. And the other one that I want to mention, too, is Vinny Rasmussen scored his first touchdown.
Gets his first touchdown, and we talked about that. He ended up being our player of the week offensively. But, yeah, he just, hurt his hand during practice doing some not smart things. And, so his hand was all boogered up, being a kid. But his hand was all boogered up, so he's kind of in and out of practice and in and out of the lineup. And, get an opportunity to go get one in the end zone. And he runs hard, and, he's a special teams guy and a guy that, that kids really like, and had a tough career from his freshman to his senior year, battling injuries. And it's always nice to get that reward for him.
Yeah, and he kind of plowed his way into the end zone.
Yeah, he was not going to be denied at that point.
Yes, and he was excited, and he should have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was
his teammates were super excited for him too. Another guy that is just a guy that everybody loves. Is Connor Graham and Ryan Murray, 2 guys that are special teams guys and play on a lot of scout. Both seniors that the kids really, really care about. And Connor's a really good wrestler too. Ryan gets one of the best moments in film is Ryan gets a pass break up there in the end zone late in the game, and he gives the no-fly zone symbol, and all the DBs are really excited for him doing that. And then he gets a fumble recovery, and Connor Graham made 2 tackles. I think he ended up with 3 tackles for loss, and it was just kind of everywhere. And but no, those are guys that were rewarded for everything they do for us every day. And you finally get out on the field and you get to make some plays and get that opportunity, and they made them. And what I'm really proud of is our kids were engaged, the whole game. Yes. I mean, it's pretty easy once you get to a lot of points to not as many running clock that you get into little conversations on the sideline. But those guys were all in for those guys, and that's important.
Yeah, you were able to put a lot of guys in early. You got Keon Allen back, got him
back, and
Mark Ashelman.
Yep, Mark gets in the end zone, and getting Keon back to get a feel for his hand, of actually getting a live carry with it. Yep. So that's just another depth piece for us this week, and each week he's going to get a little more healthier. So him and Mark kind of in the backup spot for Jadon this week, and we'll use both of them when the time's right.
Yeah, and that's good to have. It's good to have that depth.
Yeah, I mean, and it's week 11, so we're hoping bringing kids along that that can be successful for us. And Mark and Keon have done good jobs for us behind J-Don.
While we take a break, when we come back, we'll tell everyone who the player of the game is, and we'll talk a little bit about an upcoming opponent that you got.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
Germantown Grill, where our staff loves the game as much as you do. Football, basketball, baseball, whatever your sport, we'll be cheering right along as we serve up your hometown favorites. We've got everything you need to celebrate the wins. Food and flavors to satisfy any craving. Plus, the best private gaming around, powered by Gold Rush Gaming, the gold standard in video gaming. Only at Germantown Grill in Germantown Hills.
Welcome back to the Nick Delinski Show. Once again, I want to thank Jake and Sarah Atkins for letting us come down and do the show from here. Coach, go ahead and name the player of the week.
Calvin McMillan. Had a real good night. Had a touchdown catch to get us going. Had a nice kickoff return. Forced one of the fumbles. Got a good punch out. And then, he had a pick that he almost took to the house. He tried to hurdle, I guess, the guy. It was kind of a jump/hurdle and got tripped up. But, Con's had a real good year for us, done a lot of really good things, and, he kind of set the tone for us in the kickoff return, getting the touchdown, and then, forcing 2 fumbles. Getting 2 turnovers or being involved in 2 turnovers. That's a pretty good day.
Yeah, it's pretty good. If he gets by that guy, though, I think he might have been able to.
He would have got in, and then, I don't even know what you call that. He'd have, touchdowns, and you'd have return for a touchdown, or like intercept return and a receiving touchdown, and that'd be a good day. That's a full hand.
That's a great day. Coach, you get in a bus on Saturday and you travel to a nemesis of ours, the Morris Redskins, and we're 1-6 against them.
Something like that, yeah. 1-5 in the playoffs, or 1-4 in the playoffs, whatever it is. But we got a real big one. We got a big one. We got a big one there. In 07. But you look at the scores, you look at the history, you look at the towns. Like it's a lot of mirrors, right? It's a lot of mirrors. And it's one of those, you get an opportunity when you go on the road that, allow yourself again to make a statement that we've talked about this year, and we talked to the kids. And this is a big, huge opportunity for us. We've talked about getting to the 3rd round, getting to the quarters. We've been, to the 2nd round, and haven't been able to get through it, and it's been a mistake here. We just couldn't get over the hump here. The Highland game that we thought we had, and then it slipped away from us. Last year, Morgan Park, who's very talented, but they played us really, really well, and they went and played Morris and put the ball on the ground 5 times. Morris finds a way to win.
And recovered no onside kicks.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So, going up there, you know what you're going to get. Hard-nosed kids who play physical. They got high motors, and then you go, I can only imagine what their coaches are thinking. Big kids that are physical, that play with high motors, So we talk about those parallels. There's a lot there, and as Coach Gunther used to say, we both start with an M. We've got a lot of history, and
town paper, we're both heralds.
Yeah, Coach Gunther's big line in 07 was, but we got more numbers. There are more letters in our name, so that'll get us the victory. So
it worked.
It worked that day, that's for sure. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you usually know that things are going pretty well in the playoffs when you find a way to run into them. It's going to be a big game, and that's what we're in.
Yeah, and Morris, you were at the game Friday night. Morris played Woodstock.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be one of the best teams we've seen all year.
Without a doubt.
We will be one of the best teams they've seen all year.
We hope to think that we are. I think that we've played and kept getting better each week. And then even the Dunlap week, we didn't get worse. We just kind of ran out a little bit of gas there at the end. And, you get to overtime, it's a crapshoot. And so that part, but yeah, I think we got some things that on paper and things on film that I hope are challenging for them, that things that they're thinking about, because we've got plenty to look at them. And their 2 interior defensive guys are really, really good. And 2 of their linebackers, one's a 3-year starter, the other one's a 2-year starter. So they got a lot of experience there. And this is a group of guys at Morris that they've kind of been looking forward to. We kind of know a little bit because of Joe Ryan being in their conference at Sycamore. So we've kind of followed Morris a little bit along with Sycamore, and know that this is a group they've been kind of eyeballing at this point. And they've pretty much lived up to everything that they were hoping for.
Yeah, they certainly have. And I'm sure they're not excited about playing us the second round.
Well, I hope not. I mean, there's probably other second-round games you could choose, hopefully, than us. But, we knew that we were going to run into Morris at some point, be it the second round, be it the third round, be in the semis if you get there. But we knew about week 4, week 5, when you look at the playoff pairings and start to see where you're going to go. And we knew we were heading north. And when you head north, it was Montini and Morris this year and Dixon. And we kind of figured where we fall. If we could have got to 8-1, we're probably the 3 seed. We fall to 7-2, we're the 7 seed, which is basically almost the same thing where you got to go play Morris at some point, and that's what we got. And to be honest, I'm pretty excited about the opportunity. It's an historic program that gives us an opportunity to go get a win, and I'm sure their kids are feeling the same way.
It'd be a signature win.
They're all wins, they're all the same, and you know that. I don't know about a signature, but we just want to find a way to get there. And our kids we're pretty focused. It's laser focused this time of year, and got to make sure you're getting better every day, and we don't leave anything out on the practice field that we didn't get better at. And I thought we had 2 good days so far. Monday and Tuesday have been good. Monday's kind of a walkthrough, so Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of our practice days. And I thought we had a good one today, and we've got to go finish it off Thursday and Friday. And I do know the kids I believe they are confident in their understanding of what we want to get done. And then once we can get everything installed, then the confidence level grows for sure.
When you look around we're not going to jump ahead in 4A, but
Yeah.
when you look around the rest of the playoffs, and I know you're a football fan, you're a high school football fan,
yeah.
and you look around the rest of it, the one school, and I've always been a little bit of a fan of theirs, especially with the coach that they've had the last years,
Okay.
but David Hay at Chatham-Glenwood. They were week 0.
Coach is a good, great guy, and when you draw Joliet Catholic in the first round, and then you get East St. Louis in the second round, and you're 9-0, and you've got one of your groups of kids that you really care about, and that's a tough draw, right? But they go and knock off Joliet Catholic in the first round, and now they get the Flyers, and you just never know. The Flyers are really, really good, and but they've got some skilled kids that are a little sneaky that can catch up on you and get going, and we saw a lot of it on week 0. And they'll put themselves in a spot to. I know that Coach Hale will have them prepared to put them in a spot to give the best ability and the best chance they got. But I texted him this week and said, good luck, and sent him a message, huge win over the week, and he goes, yep, just another big tall one in front of us, and we're going to do the best we can.
Yeah, and that's really all you can ask.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a school that over the years has had some really good teams. A few years ago, they had Luke Lannon that went up to North Central, became like their version of a Heisman 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
When he was, I believe, a senior, I believe they also played East St. Louis in the semis and got beaten. That was a great team.
Mm-hmm.
They were, I think, 11-0 at the time, or 12-0.
I mean, they had East St. Louis last year in the quarters, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So, that's a good one. And then our local teams, Washington's in a pretty good place here. They're in a good spot, and Dunlap knocks off Pekin to move on, and they get Crete-Money, and
another very talented team.
A lot of speed. And I talked to Coach Caslett on Monday night. It's like a lot of things that we can or can't control, and the one thing we control is trying to control the football, because you can give them one play and they can go a long, long way in a hurry. So that's a big one. And then Morton finds, they go play Peoria High, and
at the stadium.
You just never know what's going to happen there, and they've really turned things. I wouldn't say turn things around would be the wrong after we played them, because they played pretty well against us. Yeah. More about having the sophomore quarterback just get more and more experience, and he ends up throwing for a little over 14 or right around 1,400 yards in the 6 games that he's played in. So, those are all big things for them, and it just kind of shows where the middle Illini is. I talked to Jim Matson today, and he's like, where does Morris fit? And I was like, well, a lot like Washington, like a Dunlap, a Morton. In terms of what they have is very similar to what we have in our conference, and feel pretty prepared from the Middle Illini to get to this level. Yeah. Now, are any of them as good as Morris? I don't know. We won't find out till Saturday afternoon. But when you take a look at what they've got, and it looks a lot like Washington. 2 big interior guys with linebackers that make plays. And you're like, oh, that sounds like Washington.
Yeah.
2 big defensive ends that kind of keep everything in. Oh, that sounds a lot like Washington. Up front, Dunlap was just huge this year. Right guard, right tackle. What's Morris got? A huge right guard and a huge right tackle. So all those things, it's like piecing them all together into one. But I think we've built ourselves to get into a position where we're at to, give our best effort on a Saturday afternoon. But, it's one of those things. It only takes one day, and you don't have to beat them 10 times. You just got to beat them once on a Saturday, and we're going to do our best.
They're not going to be shell-shocked when they see these guys because they've played against something similar.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing, and I don't think this group would be shell-shocked anyway, no matter what it is. For sure, they look at film all the time, and they're like, "Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can get this done." So, but that's what we want our kids to believe in, And it's not about believing; it's just you got to go do it now. And I think our kids are in a great place for that.
For sure, Coach. Good luck Saturday. Hope you bring home a W. Hope we're doing this show next Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
But good luck. Bring home a W.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
We'll see you Saturday in Morris.